Good morning. Welcome to another lovely sunny day. Vita wants to say hello. Good girl. You're on the table. Yeah. She loves sunbathing. Anyway, so today I've allowed myself the luxury, which I like to do from time to time, of just a little pottering around the garden sort of day. So I've got one or two chores that I want to get done. Some of them are quite routine. I want to fertilise my plants that are flowering or fruiting. I won't bother filming that. You can imagine what that involves. And then I've got a bit of weeding to do on both of my main flower beds. And also I've got a bit of maintenance to do on the donut bed, which I'll explain when we get to that. And also I've got my Christmas present tree to plant. That's this tree here from Will. It's a jacaranda tree. It's got a lovely purple flower. Sort of looks like a tree with wisteria on it. It's the best way to describe it, although the flowers aren't wisteria shaped, but they're that sort of similar purple. We've got a spot in mind as to where we'd like to plant that, so hopefully I'll be in a position to plant that out today. Just popping something on the table. And so I thought I'd bring you along for some of these gentle tasks which I plan to undertake on this glorious summer's sunny day. That's the fertilising done. So let's turn our attentions to this tree. I'm heading over now to the position that we think we'd like to plant it, or well, the vicinity in which we think we'd like to plant it. As I say, this is a type of tree called a jacaranda tree. It's not an Australian native, it is native to South America. It's a subtropical plant, and most people grow it for the beauty of its purple flowers, which we get in spring, early summer. It's got these attractive fern-like leaves. It's not a fern, it's a tree. But I'm having to be a bit thoughtful about where I plant it. So it'll grow maybe to about 8 to 10 metres. Probably won't reach its maximum potential here because this isn't its favoured growing conditions, being subtropical. So it's cold tolerant. It can go down to about -3, but we get quite a lot of frost, so it may be vulnerable to frost. It also likes sort of quite fertile, well-draining soils, and we don't have that soil type. So if it survives its first winter, that'll be a miracle. So I'm just trying to position it where I think I'll plant it, and then I'll do what I can to help it. I do have a technique for planting trees in this soil, which has proven to be pretty good actually. Let me show you. These trees were planted using that technique after I planted a batch of trees which died, not this one. I learnt my lesson from that, so I've now got a system in place which I think I will use for this tree, which involves basically building a mound and planting it in a mound rather than directly in the soil, in the hope that by the time it's getting down to the soil, it'll be that much bigger and stronger, so it should be able to cope with pushing its way through. Luckily we've had rain, so this soil should be relatively nice to dig, otherwise it's like concrete. Dug my hole. It's about a spade's head deep. As I say, I'm going to mound it, so probably it'll be twice that height, and the roots won't be that big. Look what I came across. So this is my motley collection of rocks that came out of this relatively small hole. Obviously this is by far the biggest. There's my foot for comparison. It's probably about the size of my torso and weighs considerably more. I've just retrieved the 3 things I'm going to add to the soil that came out of the hole. Excuse me. Pushes uphill, out of breath. which I'm going to add to the soil which came out of the hole. So I've got some of the gravel that was left over from when we made the bed for the generator. I hope that will help with drainage. We've got the manure, which I hope will help with the fertile nature of the soil that jacaranda requires. And I've just got some very basic normal potting compost to bulk it out, to add a bit of an airy texture. And also this has a little bit of fertiliser in it, although I'll add separate fertiliser towards the end. Just a quick update. So this is the jacaranda planted in its nice full sun position, in this dome of improved soil with its sort of wall of, this is the turf I removed to help keep the water in place. I watered it. It's got a little bit of shelter from these trees behind it. It's got a little bit of shelter from the garden. So hopefully come winter, if I'm able to maybe bubble wrap around the outside of the cage, hopefully it'll be okay, time will tell. And then quickly I'll show you how our other trees are getting on. So these are the ones that I learnt my lesson on. This is a flowering dogwood. These trees here. You may notice that the cage has been removed from the oak because the oak is now big enough to be able to take being nibbled. No kangaroo or wallaby can get up there, so it should be fine. Even if they eat these, I would probably at some point saw those lower limbs off anyway, so not much loss to the tree. And then lastly, this is the pear, the one I put the shade around to try and help. As you can see, still some browning on the new leaves, but some of them look okay. This is what I'll be doing next. I'm going to work on the donut bed tomorrow because it's getting quite hot now. But this is my main flower bed. So I'm just wanting to do a bit of weeding, a bit of pruning, and a bit of general tidying. I'd be surprised if that looks any different to you. But done a bit of weeding, done a bit of tidying. I'm very happy about that. And just in general, I'm very pleased with how this is looking. It may well not look as nice on the camera as it does in real life, but the plants are coming on very nicely. And there's lots of bees and butterflies enjoying what I'm offering to them. And lots of colour. It's just getting better and better. By the way, I've had the chance to use my new Ryobi strimmer now. Required a little bit of assembly, which I was able to do, and I've used it and it's good. And this is the old one, and I just wanted to point out, apropos if nothing really, they are slightly different. So the starting mechanism on this one is slightly different than this one, which is a side button and then pull. This is a top and bottom, and that's also how you spool the strimmer cord when you're using it. This is probably better. It's got a different handle, which is probably sturdier. The mechanism for putting it on from strim till edging is different and is probably better. And it's got a slightly different shaped Strimmer guard, which is also slightly bigger. So slight design modifications on most aspects of it, but luckily it still works just as well as this one, which, as I say, is one of the first tools we bought and has done us actually quite decent service. So fingers crossed for the new one, which I am now about to go and use to trim around some of my trees. Good morning, welcome to another day. I am off to mow the lawns. Slightly suboptimal conditions because it's a bit miserly, hence the hat. But yesterday it was so stinking hot, I just couldn't be bothered. I just lay around on the sofa, chilling. But today the weather is much more clement, albeit slightly suboptimal, but I know that the mower can cope with the grass being damp. So I'm just going to crack on and get these lawns in hand. Well, sadly, that's not gone to plan. I was just about to finish the very last part of the house lawns before I moved on and did the driveway, when I've managed to get the mower completely stuck. Now that is one of the perils of mowing when the ground's so soft underfoot, but it's just rained so much that the lawns need mowing. So what I'm going to try and do now is see if I can tow it out of its perilous position with my car. And then if that doesn't work, it'll probably be a two-handed job, so I'll have to wait for Will to get home and finish mowing later. But that's not the end of the world, because I have lots of other things that I wanted to get on with today. So if I have to curtail that task for a little bit, then so be it, but I'm going to try and tow it now. My car's in front of me, and see if I can get it out. This is what I've done. Luckily I was able to position the mower so that it was back on. And I've used this part of a ratchet strap. My car doesn't currently have a tow bar, so I sort of hooked it onto the bit there where the tailgate closes. I hope my own car doesn't get bogged, but luckily the Brumby will be able to tow me and I'll be able to tow the mower if all else fails. But let's see. If I can just get the mower sort of to here, then I should be good, but wish me luck. Well, that didn't work. Haha, success. I tried a slightly different angle of attack. Rather than pulling it straight up the hill, I pulled it at a more perpendicular angle, and I have been able to release the mower. I'm just going to put the brake on, which I also, by the way, put into reverse by resting those bricks on it. So fingers crossed, I've now got enough purchase and angle that I can get the mower back onto here, which is safer ground, and then I can carry on doing the driveway lawns. No more mower, got it out. You know, for me this is actually an excellent example of how the trick in life isn't worrying about getting into problems. that's just going to happen. It's about staying calm and trying to solve the problem, which is something that I've had to work on because I don't tend to cope well in a crisis. I like plans, I like making plans, I like sticking to plans, and I like plans working to clockwork. So as I say, that's something I've definitely had to work on. But I got out of it on my own, very pleased about that. Now I can carry on with my day, and actually the rest of the lawns are a lot easier to mow than the house lawns, so should be pretty plain sailing from here on in.